Section 8a. The First Noble Truth, Dukkha, continued. No spirit opposed to matter. It must be repeated here that according to Buddhist philosophy, there is no permanent, unchanging spirit which can be considered self or soul or ego, as opposed to matter, and that consciousness should not be taken as spirit in opposition to matter. This point has to be particularly emphasized, because a wrong notion that consciousness is a sort of self or soul that continues as a permanent substance through life has persisted from the earliest time to the present day. One of the Buddha's own disciples, Sati by name, held that the master taught it is the same consciousness that transmigrates and wanders about. The Buddha asked him what he meant by consciousness. Sati's reply is classical. It is that which expresses, which feels, which experiences the result of good and bad deeds here and there. To whomever, you stupid one, remonstrated the master, have you heard me expounding the doctrines in this manner? Haven't I in many ways explained consciousness as arising out of the conditions, that there is no arising of consciousness without conditions? Then the Buddha went on to explain consciousness in detail. Consciousness is named according to whatever condition through which it arises. On account of the eye and visible forms arises a consciousness, and it is called visual consciousness. On account of the ear and sounds arises a consciousness, and it is called auditory consciousness. On account of the nose and odor arises a consciousness, and it is called olfactory consciousness. On account of the tongue and tastes arise a consciousness, and it is called gustatory consciousness. On account of the body and tangible objects arises a consciousness, and it is called tactile consciousness. On account of the mind and mind objects, ideas and thoughts, arises a consciousness, and it is called mental consciousness. Then the Buddha explained it further by an illustration. A fire is named according to the material on account of which it burns. A fire may burn on account of wood, and it is called wood fire. It may burn on account of straw, then it is called straw fire. So, consciousness is named account to the condition through which it arises. Dwelling on this point, Buddhaghosa, the great commentator, explains, a fire that burns on account of wood burns only when there is a supply, but dies down in that very place when the supply, is no longer there. Because then the condition has changed, but the fire does not cross over to splinters, etc., and become a splinter fire, and so on. Even so, the consciousness that arises on account of the eye and visible forms arises in that gate of sense organ, that is, in the eye. Only when there is the condition of the eye, visible forms, light, and attention, but ceases then and there when the condition is no more there, because then the condition has changed. But the consciousness does not cross over to the ear, etc., and become auditory consciousness, and so on. The Buddha declared in unequivocal terms that consciousness depends on matter, sensation, perception, and mental formations, and that it cannot exist independently of them. He says consciousness may exist having matter as its means, matters as its objects, matters as its support, and seeking delight, it may grow, increase, and develop. Or consciousness may exist having sensations as its means, or perceptions as its means, or mental formations as its means, mental formations as its objects, mental formations as its support, and seeking delight, it may grow, increase, and develop. Were man to say, I shall show the coming, the going, the passing away, the rising, the growth, the increase, or the development of consciousness apart from matter, sensation, perception, and mental formations, he would be seeking of something that does not exist. Very briefly, these are the 5 aggregates what we call a being or an individual or I. It is only a convenient name or a label given to the combination of these 5 groups. They are all impermanent, all constantly changing. Whatever is impermanent is dukkha. This is the true meaning of the Buddha's words. In brief, the 5 aggregates of attachment are dukkha. They are not the same for 2 consecutive moments. Here A is not equal to A. They are in a flux of momentary arising and disappearing. O Brahmana, it is just like a mountain river, flowing far and swift, taking everything along with it. There is no moment, no instant, no second when it stops flowing, but it goes on flowing and continuing. So, Brahmana, is human life, like a mountain river. As the Buddha told Ratapala, the world is in a continuous flux and is impermanent. One thing disappears, conditioning the appearance of the next in a series of cause and effect. There is no unchanging substance in them. There is nothing behind them that can be called a permanent self, individuality, or anything that can in reality be called I. Everyone will agree that neither matter, nor sensation, nor perception, nor any one of those mental activities, nor consciousness can really be called I. But when these 5 physical and mental aggregates, which are interdependent, are working together in combination as a physio-psychological machine, we get the idea of I, but this is only a false idea. A mental formation, which is nothing but one of those 52 mental formations of the 4th aggregate which we have just discussed. Namely, it is the idea of self, to be continued.